Hello and welcome to this week's Terrace Bay Council meeting. There will be a presentation from the Nuclear Waste Management Organization to brief Council on proposed routes for transportation. The Animal Control Bylaw will be finalized and adopted, and a discussion will take place on the community safety traffic speed issue. The evening's full agenda is up next.
September 16th, I call this meeting of the Corporation of the Township of Terrace Bay to order. Declaration: the Council of the Township of Terrace Bay hereby acknowledges that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is a traditional territory of the Nishnawbe and the Métis. Additions, deletions, or amendments. And a motion moved by Councilor St. Louis, seconded by Councilor Duma. Resolve the Council approve the agenda for the September 16, 2024 regular meeting amended as follows. Additions under other business and resolution, ambulance shortages and healthcare system issues, Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, and Superior Classics Car Club facilities use requests. Any other?
There was one about the letter from the resident that was attached as well. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Disclosures of interest, any disclosures of interest? Hearing none. Minutes of the regular council meeting held September 3rd, 2024. Moved by Councilor Duno, second by Councilor St. Louis. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held September 3rd, 2024 be approved as presented. Any questions on that motion? All in favor? Carried. Next item, presentations, delegations, applications, Nuclear Waste Management Organization, Transportation Preliminary Plan and Framework. Both, you guys are up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak. Get out of the way so people can see. My name is Alf Sommer. I'm a senior transportation engineer at the Nuclear Waste Management Organization. I have a mechanical engineering degree from the University of Waterloo, and I've been working in the field of radioactive materials transportation for the last 25 years. The Nuclear Waste Management Organization was formed as a result of the passing of the Nuclear Fuel Waste Act in 2002. We are responsible for the long-term management of Canada's used nuclear fuel. Our process is based on finding a willing host community. Back in 2010, we opened our doors to the siting process. 22 communities stepped forward. We have 2 left in the siting regions. Those are numbers 1 and 2 in blue on the map. The first one is the area, the township of Ignis and the Waterton Lake First Nation. The number 2 is the municipality of South Bruce and is also on the traditional territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. Hopefully in November of this year or before the end of the year, we plan on making a final selection as to where the repository will be located. The purple dots, numbers 1 through 7, show you where the used fuel is currently stored in Canada, with the bulk of the fuel, about 93% of that being in areas 2, 3, and 4, that's Bruce, Pickering, and Darlington. Pickering is where the Canadian nuclear program for electricity production began in 1971. I do have a number of other slides in the presentation, which I will not be going over because the transportation aspects are, as far as I understand, more interesting for the council, and so I'll be focusing on those. Once the decision is made, whether we go to the northern side or the southern side, we can start planning a transportation, or doing more detailed planning for transportation. The regulatory impact assessment for the site is anticipated to take about 10 years after a site is announced. And after that, we'll get a license to construct, and it'll take another about 10 years to construct the site. So the earliest we would be starting to ship used fuel from the sites that we see to the repository would be in the mid 2040s. So it's a long ways away. Transportation of radioactive materials, including used fuel, has been happening in Canada for a long time. It started in the 1960s and has been happening on an intermittent basis ever since. The transportation regulations came into force in the 1960s as well, and the entire regulatory framework is well established and in place. The transportation system is based on a multi-layered approach, with the foundation of that approach being certified and registered packages. What I mean by that is that the nuclear industry is quite unique in the sense that they understand the hazards involved with moving radioactive materials, and depending on the hazard level, there's a graded approach applied to packaging, and depending on the hazard level, packages are designed not to fail in severe accident conditions. This is unique to our industry, and it makes me very proud as an engineer to say that. In fact, in 1964, the performance-based tests were established in the regulations, and they have not changed since then. While the regulations have been updated and many things have been added and included, the performance-based tests to define whether or not a transportation package can survive a severe accident condition have not changed. Then we have the operational controls and security management and compliance systems on top of that, because the security, the transport of used fuel includes a security component. We have 24/7 tracking of packages, so that the packages are continuously tracked and they are accompanied by a nuclear escort. So we'll know where all the shipments are and at any given time. For the transportation program to move our estimated 6.4 million fuel bundles, that's the entire inventory that is expected to be created from the currently 19 operating reactors we have in Canada. They're expecting to produce about 6.4 million fuel bundles. Right now, we have 3.3 million fuel bundles in storage. When we start transporting them, we'll be feeding the repository at a rate of about 120,000 fuel bundles a year. That'll mean about 650 shipments a year, or 2 to 3 a day, 6 days a week, 9 months of the year. And the reason we're doing that and that we're allowing gaps is to account for inclement weather and road closures, etc. That's really, really important to our program. Because of the security aspects, we also have to do a threat assessment. And in order to ship, we actually need a license to transport from issued by the regulator per shipment. So again, 6.6 million fuel bundles a ship. We will require in the neighborhood of 36,000 shipments. It'll take about 55 years to complete, and we need a license per shipment. The transportation is jointly overseen by Transport Canada and the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. Transport Canada handles the packaging, marking and labeling, whereas they defer the package performance to the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. In order to use a package, it has to be certified by the regulator, by the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. In implementing our framework, we're looking at doing this in a collaborative way. We're looking at listening to what people have to say, incorporating that into our framework, reaching back out to the communities along the routes, and assessing their inputs. And this cycle will continue. We're doing this both with the First Nations along the routes and with the communities along the routes. For a very brief high-level overview, I think that covers the bulk of it. I think I'm pretty close to my 10 minutes as well. And so I would like to open the floor to any questions that you may have.
Well, who's gonna be driving, like, I don't know if you're aware around here, there's lots of accidents with the transports on the highways.
Yes.
Like, who's gonna be driving these transports, special training or just a guy out of, trucking school and here you go?
It's the training process is quite elaborate. So not only do you need your AZ, well, you need your AZ license, you'll also need to comply with the dangerous goods regulations. So you'll need your dangerous goods license certificates. And then because radioactive materials fall under Class 7, there are a whole series of Class 7 training requirements as well, which also includes radiation protection. And so the training that's required to get a job like this is quite extensive. Just to give you a sense of scale, the Ontario Power Generation currently has a transportation program where they're moving waste materials from Pickering and Darlington to the Bruce nuclear site. They make approximately 1,000 shipments a year. They've been doing that since the 1970s. Or perhaps the 80s. And the most serious incident they've been involved with was actually a driver who stepped out of his cab and broke his ankle slipping on ice. So they have had incidents. They have been minor in nature. One of the things that, and this is a personal opinion, that I really, really respect what they do is that they pay their drivers a salary. And so they're, in the event that that there is a stoppage, the driver continues to get paid, and as a result, there's no requirement for them to rush to get anywhere. In my personal opinion, that drives safety more than anything else that we can do. And so I'm very confident that we will have a safe and secure transportation program.
What's the difference in I guess the soil or whatever you want to call it between Igneous and Salt Bruce?
Igneous is a crystalline rock, and it's a hard rock. And we're looking for a very homogeneous sound rock. The rock in South Bruce is sedimentary. One of the features of that rock is incredibly consistent as well. They're looking, and both sites we're looking at about 650 to 750 meters deep, 650 in the south, 750 in the north. One of the features of the rock in the south is because it's a limestone-based rock, it is what the geologists call self-sealing. Both rocks are incredibly safe and incredibly sound. Canada is incredibly fortunate. Many other countries developing repository programs wish they would have the rock that we do.
Any other? Bert?
Isn't it safe to say that the less you have to move it, the safer it's going to be? So rather than bringing it all the way up into this neck of the woods, isn't it safer to leave it as close to the usage as possible?
In a word, yes. However, we have challenges. The first time we tried to cite, we, the industry, not NWMO, we tried to cite a repository was in the 1990s. The work started in the 70s with the development of what the White Shell site in Manitoba. When they went through their environmental hearing process, the Judge Seaborn said that the site was technically sound, but not socially so. What they did was we love acronyms. They used a data approach. They decided scientifically where the best site was. They announced where it was, and then they defended their position. And that did not sit well with Canadians. And so our siting process is based on the concept of willingness. At this point in time, the township of Ignis has voted yes. They are willing to continue on in the process. South Bruce will make their decision on I believe the 28th of October. However, the decisions of the municipalities are insufficient. We also need a positive willingness demonstration by the First Nations involved as well. And so while on the one hand, the shorter distance traveled it will reduce the number of transportation accidents, that statistically is true. The other side is that the willingness is just, if not more important in order to cite a repository.
Any other questions from council there?
Well, the only one I have is the ball point with the transportation. Is there going to be a clearly marked route where it isn't going to change? Like what I'm saying is, if you pick coming up 69 on the 17 straight to Ignis, is that going to be the route? Or are we going to be told one day, oh, now we're going to go up 11? And like, I just think if this ever gets settled and you decide to transport it that way, I would surely like to have one route that we all clearly know about.
I hear what you're saying, and I wish I could give you a more definite answer. At this point in time, the transport routes are prescribed information, and so they may not be made public due to security reasons. That is unique. Well, it's not unique to Canada. That is Canada's position. In the United States, they don't have that position, and they make their routes public. So these are conversations we are currently having with our regulator. Having said that, we have to, in order to receive our licensed transport, we need a primary route and also an alternate route in the event of an incident. And how that plays out, that can play out in many ways, right? Because an alternate route could be a bypass around a town or a populated area for a certain section, or it could be larger than that. Exactly how that works will have to be decided closer to when we start transporting, because the infrastructure will change. But having said that, I also want to mention that road is not the only option that we're looking at. We are also looking at rail transport.
Okay. Any other questions from council? For Jim, you want to ask your one question?
Well, if the decision is being made in November, that's coming up in November 24th.
Oh, 2024, yeah.
So that decision is going to move fairly quickly. How will you be speaking with all the people involved in the towns to let them give their input on what's happening?
The willingness decision is being made is based on the communities that entered the siting process. So as I said, right now there are 2 left. They are deciding whether or not they are willing to continue, and it is a continuation. So that just because they're willing, and let's assume we have both the municipality or the township and the First Nation both willing, we still have to make it through the impact assessment prior to getting a license to construct. And that period will, the impact assessment period will be about 10 years, at which point in time we'll be we'll be making presentations like this to communities along the routes. Right now, we don't know where those routes are because we don't know where we're going. And so, and that's where this framework approach comes in. And so we're going to listen to questions like yours and respond accordingly.
Any other questions from Dr. Burke?
So you're looking at the municipalities and First Nations to say yea or nay without knowing whether the nuclear waste is going through their community or not. Because you can't say where it's going through.
It's going on Highway 17, Bert.
Or Highway 11.
Or Highway 11, or
the rail, or the rail. Yes. So at this point in time, the expressions of willingness that we're looking for are only from the communities that entered the siting process. And in as such, it's not really any different than any other project venture like this. If there's a mine that's going in and they're going to be shipping dangerous goods to support the mine at this point in time, the communities along those transportation routes don't have a say in what's being transported to and from the mine either. We'd like to be more open and transparent about that, understanding that the nuclear program is an emotional topic, and so we are engaging where we can, and where we're requested to engage.
Thanks for the presentation. Very informative. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. We have information, more detailed information in bags here for the counselors, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item, report from administration, John, down the control bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this has got a bit of history this summer anyways. We brought it to the table at least 3, if not 4 times. So this latest draft, council had originally given administration a mandate in 2023 to redevelop the item control bylaw. A lot of it in response to an incident that occurred in town, but some of it too, the bylaw was just one of our older bylaws. So highlights, the bylaw does not apply to undomesticated animals, and domesticated animals as follows, including unlimited rabbits, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, mice, birds, fish, non-venomous reptiles, amphibians, spiders, and snakes, if fully confined within a dwelling or premises and used for hobby purposes and not sale purposes. It limits the keeping of animals to 4 in a single detached dwelling and 2 in multi-unit dwellings. It allows for grandfathering in for owners who exceed new limits at the time of passage of the bylaw, provided all applicable animals are licensed and no additional animals are attained beyond new limits. So for greater clarity, if someone had 5 dogs and they were in a single family detached dwelling, and the bylaw passes, they're allowed to keep their 5th dog. But if that dog dies, they can't go back up to 5, or if they had 6 and they come down to 5, they can't go back to 6. That's the intent of the bylaw as the draft reads right now. And then similarly for multi-res, it was 2, they had 3, same like. It allows us to create a lifetime license for animals. So that was one of the concerns I talked to Mr. Dennis about, but there is provision in there for lifetime licensing. So if you get a puppy, you can come in, register that puppy, and we'll figure out a rate for a lifetime license, and you can pay that. It's never really have to worry about it again. As for the duration of that animal's life. So if you get subsequent animals, you have to come license them as well too.
Right.
It does deal with exotics. So Schedule A has a long list of what's not permitted under the bylaw. Venomous snakes, venomous spiders, those kinds of things, tigers. I think giraffes are mentioned on there. So not sure who would keep a giraffe, but and also repeals the previous dog bylaw, which is 2005. As I said, it was a little bit older. So July 15th, we brought it forward again, and council had some discussions between those 2 meetings, and they wanted requirement for licensed cats to be removed. So administration did do that. Licensing of kennels was left in for future possibilities consideration. We did have someone interested in a kennel in the past, so just in case that ever crops up again, we do have a framework in place to deal with that. Yeah, so just updates to changes following September 3rd, the last meeting. Remove the definition of stable. That doesn't really apply. If we ever had an agricultural or farm animal things sort of crop up in Terrace Bay, we could always revisit the bylaw or pass a separate bylaw. The impoundment section was removed, reflecting our local reality. And the bylaw enforcement officer actually has seizure authority under the Dog Owners Liability Act. So if we were going to impound an animal, most likely it would be taken from here to Marathon or to Thunder Bay. We do not have a pound, therefore we cannot have the impoundment section of the bylaw. Care of animals, tethered animals, and untended animals, those sections were removed as well as they were duplicating the Provincial Animal Welfare Services Act, or also known as PAWS, and Ontario Regulation 444/19. Rewording of the aggressive dog section to align with changes and removals that I've discussed above. Removal of fines from Schedule B, again, to align with the changes above, and renumbering as well as where applicable. Following passage, as I said previously, then the set fines will be submitted to the Ministry of the Attorney General for approval. If amendments are required by the ministry, the bylaw unfortunately will have to be brought back to the table to be amended. The schedule is attached to this version. The financial implications none at this time. The options are the council approve the passage of a bylaw to regulate the keeping of animals from the township of Terrace Bay, and the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. Option 2 is the council not approve passage of bylaw to regulate the keeping of animals within the township of Terrace Bay, and the administration make amendments as directed. And option 3 is that administration be directed otherwise. Administration is recommending option 1.
Questions?
No, we've wanted this for a while. It's updated to reflect the new realities of life, and I think it's a good step.
It's been, 2 years,
Yeah.
2 years ago, so.
Much appreciation to administration for their hard work and been going back and forth quite a bit, so should acknowledge that tonight.
Thank you, John. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councilor St. Louis, second by Councilor Duno, resolve that council approve the passage of a bylaw to regulate the keeping of animals in the town of Terrace Bay, and that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward. All in favor? Carried. The Public Works, Brian, you're up.
Here. Over the summer, the sewage treatment plant building roof has a section of roofing material fail and water is now leaking into the building. Administration has received 2 quotes from local roofing contractors to repair the roof. The roof needs to be repaired before winter to stop further water infiltration down. Lowest estimate for the roof replacement is $3,830 plus tax and was not included in the 2024 municipal budget. This cost will include a replacement of 5 sheets of plywood. If it's possible, more plywood would need to be replaced, which may increase final costs. 2 options before you: the council approved the roof replacement on the sewage treatment building, and option 2, that council does not approve the roof replacement on the sewage treatment building and directs administration to advise your recommendation.
Any questions? It's gonna save 5 pieces of plywood for $3,800. It's pretty expensive.
Well, I think over that. They will only be replacing 5
Yeah.
big roof.
The rest,
We're just hoping only 5 are
okay.
bad.
And
How big is that roof, Brian? Square foot wise?
It's a little bit smaller, KCO is true.
okay. And that's the building down, above the Lake Spear pump house, right? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks, Brad. We had a motion moved by Councilor St. Louis, second by Councilor Duno, resolve the council approve the roof replacement on the sewage treatment plant. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next one is the community safety traffic speeds on Southbridge Crescent.
Okay, on May 21st, 2024, C. Richmond sent to the council regarding speeding and safety concerns on South Crescent. Mr. Richmond also proposed the council designate Southbridge Crescent Terrace sites as a community safety zone, reducing the speed limit from 40 kilometers an hour to 25 kilometers per hour, as well as a request for doubling the speeding fines. The presentation can be found at the link. Council directed administration to research the issue and provide a report back to future council meeting. Some current discussion, speed limits in Ontario are prescribed in section 128 of the Highway Traffic Act, depending on the type of highway involved. Rate of speed, no person shall drive a motor vehicle at a rate or speed greater than 50 kilometers per hour on a highway within a local municipality or built up area. Section 128, subsections 2 and 2.1 allow municipalities to pass bylaws designated local speed limits below 50 kilometers per hour and not greater than 100 kilometers per hour. Again, depending on the highway type involved. Terrace has established such a bylaw 9518, the Uniform Traffic Bylaw, which states 29.1, no person shall drive a vehicle on any municipal street at a greater rate of speed than 40 kilometers per hour unless otherwise specified in section Schedule 7 of this bylaw. As there are no specifications included in this Schedule 7 of the bylaw 9518, the default speed limit for all Terrace highways is 40 kilometers per hour. Section 214.1 of the Highway Traffic Act permits the council of the municipality may by bylaw designate part of a highway under its jurisdiction for the community safety zone. If in the council's opinion, public safety is of special concern on that part of the highway. Section 214.1, subsection 6 establishes increased penalties for exceeding the speed limits in community safety zones. Administration just deployed the township's portable speed monitoring sign from May 24th through September 5th, 2024 to collect data for a significant period during the summer months. Data collected by the sign for the period summarized below. During the period, 5,178 vehicles were measured. 9 were traveling at speeds between 46 and 50 kilometers an hour, 0.17%. 65 were traveling at speeds 41 to 45 kilometers an hour, 1.3%. And all other vehicles were traveling below the speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour, with the highest concentration traveling between 21 and 30 kilometers per hour, 98.5%. In unrelated conversations with the Ministry of Transportation, the general position is that speed signs may work, but only temporarily. It is worth noting that through the speed sign training, research shows that there are a number of drivers who may try to high score the speed sign by trying to gain excessive speed coming out of the sign. However, there are more often drivers who slow down when they see their speed displayed on the sign. With the collected data showing such a low percentage, 1.4 of vehicles traveling in excess of the posted speed limit, administration is not recommending implementing a community safety zone in the requested area at this time. Administration will continue to place the sign around the community and report back to council periodically on the data collected or with any concerning trends. Financial implications are none at this time. A few options before you. Option 1, the council accepts the speed sign data collection report and the recommendation of administration to not implement community safety zone under section 214.1 of the Highway Traffic Act in the South Ridge Terrace area at this time. Option 2, the council directs administration to bring back a report and a bylaw establishing community safety zone in the Terrace South Ridge section. Option 3, the council directs administration to continue investigating community safety concerns in the South Ridge area. Administration is recommending option 2.
Any questions?
No, other than 1.4% actually really surprised me. I thought it would be a bit higher. That's a really good number to see. I'm very satisfied with the report. I think that's a good job.
How long does that data stay on that?
I think infinite. Oh, yeah. We also extracted it on behalf, so the data is available. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. We have like with the speed sign in its own there as well. So
Okay.
I'm sure everybody saw it up there now.
Yeah.
So I've changed the location now, so it's logging data from that. That will be great.
Any other questions?
Really good to see our investment paying off with really good data. They really good decisions. Appreciate you deploying the sign and getting that back to us. And for all your work to presentation, great.
Yeah, and it does allow us to provide feedback to that specific community member about the data that it's not, it gives specific numbers, which allows us to run with these kinds of decisions or what we're gonna do.
We have more. Second by Councilor St. Louis, resolve that council accept the speed sign data collection report and the recommendation of administration to not implement the community safety zone under section 214.1 of the Highway Traffic Act in the Southbridge Terrace area at this time. All in favor? Carried. And the annual drinking water report.
Thank you. In Ontario, OREG 17003 of the Safe Drinking Water Act requires an annual report prepared for each drinking water system. This report is intended to inform the municipal council and the public about the operation of the drinking water system over the previous calendar year. Section 11 of OREG 17003 requires that the report summarize water quality monitoring results, adverse water quality incidents, system expenses, and chemicals used in the water treatment process. Essentially, the Section 11 report summarizes the quality of the treated water. The Schedule 22 of the OREG 17003 requires an annual report to council summarizing incidents of regulatory non-compliance and associated corrective actions, in addition to providing full monitoring results for the purpose of enabling the owner to assess the capability of the system to meet existing and planned demand. Essentially, the Schedule 22 report summarizes the quantity of the raw water and treated water. So for current discussion, administration is bringing this report forward to be made available to the public and adopted via council resolution. Two options before you. Option one, that council accept on Ontario Clean Water Agency OREG 17003 2023 Section 11 annual report and the 2023 Section 22 annual summary for the Terrace drinking water system dated February 2024 as presented. Number two, that council not accept the Ontario Clean Water Agency OREG 17003 2023 Section 11 annual report and the 2023 Schedule 22 annual summary for the Terrace drinking water system dated February 2024 and direct administration of the recommendation adopted.
Any questions?
No, actually, Ryan, it's a good report. This is probably the lowest number of non-compliance things that I've seen in a while. This report is good.
Yeah, it's all good news.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of this, Ryan, is the low pressure loss because it's on the transfer that
All
Yeah.
electrically
Yeah.
related issues that we now have.
well, that was my question. Are we all, is that all fixed then?
Yes. Very carefully, yes. Just to touch quickly on that, when we finished all the repairs a month ago, we ran several generator tests, every kind of trip you can think of, phase loss, full power loss and everything. All we've seen that on, so
Okay.
I believe we finally have it resolved.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion moved by Councillor St. Louis, seconded by Councillor Duno, resolved by council accept the Ontario Clean Water Agency Regulation 170 /03 2023 Section 11 annual report and 2023 Schedule 22 annual summary for the Terrace Bay drinking water system dated February 2024. All in favor? Carried. Communications, Thunder Bay Auto Sport, direction of charity. That's Thunder Bay Auto Sports Club. Every year they have their, like a better word, drags down here and they donate the money to one of the charities in town. And they get to pick who we want. Give $1,700 to this year. Last year we split it in the gate one. Yeah. You know, just for the North Shore.
North Shore Fire last year,
Yeah, okay.
the previous year, we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your pleasure this year?
Well,
Quick question I was wondering about, does it have to be a registered charity? It says, for the purpose of, do they receive a charitable tax receipt? Is that what they're also looking for, or does that matter? And then, well, we get a Rick out of question too.
no, I was just gonna say I would, I think we need to give a good amount of this to the North Shore Terrace Code. I think that they're needing it. And I have no problem giving it all to them, although I wouldn't mind giving a little bit to the animal shelter too. I wouldn't be opposed to splitting that.
The only reason I was wondering how you read it for charity, because one, I don't know if the animal shelter is, so if it doesn't have to be, then that's fine. The other thought I had was maybe we could create a little bit of an application process, because there may be needs that we're not aware of. I'm thinking even food programs at our schools, breakfast programs, snack programs that, you know, funding falls short. This may be an opportunity similar to the food bank, but they're responding to needs right then and there, and maybe an opportunity that we don't know about. I would say maybe for next year, we can think about that. Even just as a generalization, here's a, not guaranteed, but give us your project and give council your information. I mean, we kind of think, yeah, the food bank could use it, but we actually have no information to tell us at the table right now. They could use that. And we'll take the donation.
If I'm not mistaken, Scriber has something like that. Somebody dropped it off my desk at work saying, hey, fill this out. And then send it to Scriber Council, which it was something similar to what you're describing. I can't remember exactly, but it's not a bad idea to have something like that on file, because you're right. Even a little bit more. I'm assuming, like Rick, like you said, that they're definitely hurting, and right. And so I would assume that they are, but that would also allow us to diversify who we're giving money to.
Yeah.
And I know for, you know, again, through the grapevine as well, that the Forget Me Not animal shelter is always in need as well. And it's runs pretty bare bones. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with both of those for now, and then maybe look at that in the future.
Yeah.
Are we okay to spread it then, or you want to go like 12-5 or whatever? You know?
I don't really have a preference per se. I mean, what is it, 17?
22, 25.
So if you wanted to go,
$860 is.
if we split it even, or if you want to go 1,000 to the food bank and the rest of
Let's do
it.
that.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that.
Okay. We have a motion moved by Councilor Duno, second by Councilor St. Louis, resolved the council approve the donation in the amount of 1722.25 from the Thunder Bay Auto Sport Club, and shall be directed to the North Shore Harvest Covered and what's it called?
Forget Me Not that. So, yeah.
And Forget Me for the annual use of the airport property. All in favor? Carried. Any bylaws? Moved by Councilor Duno, second by Councilor St. Louis. Resolve that. Where's the letter?
Was there something about
Coming up next.
Oh, they're coming next. Okay.
Other business.
Yeah, okay. Resolve that approval bylaw to regulate the keeping of animals within the township of Terrace Bay may be read a first, second, third time. And finally passed on by the mayor and clerk sealed and numbered on this 16th day of September 2024. All in favor? Carried. There we go. Yeah, the motion moved by Councilor Dubé, second by Councilor Johnson, whereas the council of the corporation of the township of Terrace Bay is gravely concerned about the ongoing shortages and staffing challenges facing Superior North EMS, whereas the provincial funding for ambulance services currently at 50%, along with the city's 50% contribution, has been falling short, leading to a financial strain on municipalities and regional partners, including the city of Thunder Bay. Whereas the rolling shortages of paramedics and EMS personnel in the region present a significant risk to public safety and healthcare services in northern communities, which are disproportionately affected by the province-wide shortage of paramedics. Whereas recruitment and retention issues, including insufficient wages and benefits, lack of mental health supports, frequent exposure to traumatic experiences, and inadequate recovery time during periods are causing high turnover rates and burnout among EMS workers. Whereas Confederation College recently announced a plan to double the length of EMS training from 1 year to 2 years, which could further exacerbate staffing shortages under current conditions. Therefore, be it resolved that the Honorable Sylvie Jones, Minister of Health, be requested to take immediate action to address the funding shortfalls and structural challenges in the delivery of the EMS services in northern communities, including increase in provincial funding to support EMS services and reduce the financial burden on municipalities. Implementing incentives such as learn and stay grants to encourage paramedics to live and work in Northern Ontario. Reviewing the proposed extension of EMS training programs to ensure that it does not negatively impact the current workforce shortage. Enhancing support systems for EMS workers, including improved wages, benefits, and mental health resources. And that's this resolution before to Minister Sylvia Jones, AMO, Confederation College, and all Ontario municipalities. All in favor?
Can I
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
say a few things? That resolution has a one error in it that needs to be omitted. I've been doing a deep dive into paramedic programs across Ontario. It's a 4-semester program. It's always been a 4-semester program. I believe it was incorrectly identified by Lee's or
It was going from 2 to 3 years.
was it
Yeah.
2 to 3?
2 to 3.
It's correct. As of right now, it's a 4-semester.
Yeah.
So I think the wording for that should be amended to say something along the lines of should remain its current length of 4 semesters, and there should be, and perhaps again, financial, some sort of an incentive to work in northern communities. And then just to bring up the other 2 documents, one from Jen Jeffries, that has been floating around Facebook and as well as gone across all of our desks, emails or whatnot, virtual desks. And this really, we've been aware of this for a while, so I'm glad we're moving forward with this. The other is Township of Rainy River, and that was forwarded to us by yourself this morning. And just so you're aware, Rainy River is losing its 3 doctors, as well as the EMO paramedic station is looking like it might not be viable. So again, this is a systemic problem across Northwestern Ontario. And for anybody online and for those of you who've come, it's been a really emotional week or 2 in our community, and even going beyond that, even the Facebook posts about the union, we've talked about it as a council as well. So I'm glad that this has come up and that it's here. Just making those changes about the training program and just to reflect the reality, because right now it is 2 years. So just to make sure that's correct before we push it through.
And to make and say a few other things on that, Chris, we have talked to Shane Muir from Superior North Canada, as the superintendent. We've talked to him on a number of occasions. We have talked to our local MVP, Lee's Bourgeois, when we had our MVP caucus in Ottawa, and we brought that up with Mayor Stiles.
We also talked about it with Sylvia Jones.
And Sylvia Jones at Roma a couple of years ago, and made her aware of stuff like this. So it's not like we're not doing anything, but there's a shortage of paramedics.
Yeah.
But the problem is, Scriber Terrace Bay should at least have one of the 2 stations manned. We shouldn't be left in the code black, realizing that if they're out on a call and another call comes in, I'm not really too sure what you can do, call it marathon or whatever, and then they're gonna leave marathon in the code black or whatever. So, I mean, it's not like we're not doing anything. So just so people know, we have been doing stuff. It's just a paramedic shortage, and we've asked for a meeting with Shane Muir over this, and we've sent him an email a week and a half ago or whatever, and wait for his response. And Lee's Bourgeois have been in touch with Shane also. Yeah, I mean, we're not like we're sitting here not doing anything. So
I would just express appreciation to Councillor Dubé for his work, particularly on this resolution. I think you capture a lot of what we feel, but I think it tackles it in a constructive way, because in regards to social media posts and the letter that was distributed to council, So we still, and we probably never will have the personal confidential details of the situation from the hospital's perspective, from EMS's perspective, but the reality is there was no ambulance. And for a number of reasons why, which I think frankly are unacceptable. So I feel like your resolution here really gets to the heart of it, and it also gives us a story of evidence that we said this would happen. That this is exactly what we predicted.
But again, as a town council, we're limited by jurisdiction, and healthcare, unfortunately, is a provincial jurisdiction, and what can we do as a township to ask our provincial counterparts to help us? And again, after reading and again getting that from yourself this morning, Paul, about Rainy River, and I lived there for 2 years, and I know the mayor, I worked with her, and just to know that that community faces similar challenges to our community, it's something that from a northern perspective, we should be putting this out to other northern communities to really make our voice heard.
So John, are you gonna make changes to this or?
Leave it up to council if you want to defer and bring it back, or do you want to make changes right now?
The right change.
Let's make the right changes
We can just amend it right now, can we not?
If you know the correct thing,
I do, yeah,
Paul can make notes and we can retype it.
Yeah.
if you'd like.
yeah, that would be nice. I'd like to put this out sooner rather than later.
So
Okay, so where it says Confederation College recently announced, just scrap that whole whereas.
Do you want to?
I don't-
Change, or you don't want to?
I don't even think that it's pertinent right now because I don't have any evidence, and I've scoured the internet for this. It is 50-50. I did go through, it is 50-50 contributions. I know that is correct. And if we go down now, letter III. Triple I is reviewing the proposed extension, scrap that whole one as well, because that's a reiteration of the previous whereas. If that makes sense, where it says reviewing the proposed extension of EMS training.
number 3.
Correct, yeah. Everything else is fine. And then I noticed that number 2, it says implement incentives such as learn and stay grants to encourage paramedics. And I don't feel like I need to restate that in a whereas. I think that that's sufficient having it there on the double I.
Okay,
Go with the amendments.
pardon me.
Call for vote on the amendments.
All in favor of the amendments Chris just mentioned? Okay, well, here,
The main.
okay, so all in favor of this motion, the way. Get it,
There's not.
As amended?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
amended. Carry.
I spoke with the Leeds last week at the North Superior Workforce Planning open house. And I told her my view of a solution of having a driver and an attendant separate could virtually double the amount of availability of the ambulance, and she was possibly going to bring that forward. So,
Your worship, no, we missed item A under other business, for experiential conservation.
Okay, we'll send them.
That's,
What is it?
yeah, you guys had one on the agenda.
In the field one, in the beginning.
Yeah, I'll speak to it. I personally believe that with the location being up in the air there, I feel we should maybe put forward a intent that we would like to have it located here. And to Parks Canada and see if they would. Talking to Dean Main the other day now, Dean feels he's already another spot picked up there.
Right.
But
I think I did last week, we said we would send a nice letter saying if you didn't come up with something,
yeah,
that's the interest.
that's basically what I want to do. I want to see.
Yeah, I think that's the
nothing-
heart of it, is we just want to,
We want to have the chance to we put forward our presentation forward on,
We would like Terrace to be considered as
be
an
considered
alternative.
as an alternative if they haven't got one.
Or even if you wanted to just word a letter just to say, hey, we're open, if it would help, kind of, we're not trying to take it away from NIB again, but if it's up in the air, we just want to be able to say, hey, we're open to the possibility and would encourage you to look at our community. So it's friendly enough, a willing host.
Yes,
So that is a-
there's
Thank you.
that's exactly, we would be a willing host if they so desire to entertain looking at it.
Okay, John.
Sure, the administration can post something like that, at CC council on the email, find the appropriate contact in Parks Canada.
Yeah.
Just make that,
Yeah.
known.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, next item, we have a motion moved by Counselor Johnson, second by Counselor Dubé. Resolved that council support Haley Irwin's induction into the Northwest Ontario Sports Hall of Fame through donation of
What do we usually donate for something like this? We don't usually.
we usually get a donation letter every year, but this one maybe because she was from Terrace Bay, it was a little more personal.
Yeah, hometown girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So the letter is speaking to the fact that tickets are available for attendance at the 40% annual induction dinner. And that if you don't want to buy tickets, if you're unable to attend, but select to support our region's proud sports heritage, consider becoming a friend of the dinner by providing a tax exempt. So there's two options there.
Well, as I see it, we have two options. We could either send our mayor as a representative for dinner. Or we could do a donation.
Or a member of council.
Or we could do a donation in the amount of a couple of tickets or something like that.
yeah, something, $100. So, yes. So,
You know, that's another option, just buy 2 dinner tickets as a donation.
I would assume the inductee doesn't have to pay for their dinner ticket, but it would be included.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I would think so.
I'm not sure what's his name. Jamie McPherson got the same letter because of Karen Saramac.
No doubt.
What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Or does anyone know the person well around the
Well,
table?
I know her, I know her parents.
Yeah, because I'd be willing to send a representative council
Yeah.
to the dinner to celebrate person with the accomplishment, if there's someone that's able and willing, but if not, otherwise donation, I think is appropriate.
Either way, I'd be good with it.
I'll volunteer to go if you want.
Well, there you go. You want to go to dinner? I think.
Well, I know the family for
Exactly.
30 years.
Yeah.
Well, longer, I don't know, their mother for 60 years.
That's right, you're in school. Yeah, no, I'd be in favor of sending you to dinner.
Donation of,
The presence of the mayor. Yeah,
Which is their ticket.
Yeah.
okay, all in favor, carried. The next item, moved by Counselor Dubé, second by Counselor Johnson, resolve that council approve the request of the Spirit Baptist Car Club to host a closed event, no spectators, with G-Force rally on October 5th, 2024. And that insurance coverage for G-Force participants be verified by the Spirit Baptist Car Club prior to the event. And that all other provisions of the Spirit Baptist Car Club facility use agreement be adhered to as applicable. Any questions, John?
So this, apologies, this one came in late and the event is actually, if it's going to be allowed, is happening before our next council meeting. So time is of the essence of this request. I did speak to the gentleman from the club. last week or the week before, we're out of the States. Essentially what it is a group of people who drives around supercars. So they connected with the Spirit Plastics Car Club just through common interests. And they come up with the idea of coming to the airport to use it much on a one-day thing, much like the Auto Sport Club does. Not an autocross, they just want to make a couple passes for their cars and that's it. They're touring along they're gonna be in Thunder Bay for a significant amount of time. They're touring along the North Shore. They wanted to make Terrace Bay a stop. So although there's no spectators allowed, they would obviously eat lunch, stop and hopefully patronize some breakfast while they're here. This may turn into an annual thing, according to the gentleman who sort of coordinates for the G-Force. And again, the road we chose to go here was through the car club, as they already have the existing facilities lease agreement. Didn't have to sign a different one if the car club was going to host it. The car club was willing to host it. So.
Okay.
You all in favor of that? Motion? Terry? Question period. Any questions? Any questions from the audience?
Well, concerns the generators for the water facility plant. The generators under the capital.
Yeah.
So why is there a boil water advisory? Which when the generators are leaking? Maybe I didn't hear that right, but
The generator didn't kick in time. And when the pressure drops below 60 pounds.
20 PSI.
PSI for 20 seconds, you gotta initiate a boil water advisory. But hopefully, like Ryan said, that we have that resolved now with all,
so there shouldn't be any boil water.
well,
For that reason.
That reason.
Just to speak, there's a long history here. The initial problems, the generator ran fairly fine when the water plant was constructed. Somewhere along the lines, I think after I got here, so don't blame me, but we started having propane issues. So the generator was being essentially starved for fuel. Working closely with Superior Propane and Cal Power, who's the manufacturer of the generator, we seem to have ironed those issues out. And then unfortunately got struck by lightning 3 summers ago. Anyway, 2021, right? 2021. Yeah. So that created a whole host of problems. So the plant was still running, but as the electricians put it, you're always chasing gremlins through the system. And that's what we were afraid of. So we actually went through our insurance and replaced a lot of the systems that we think were affected by the electrical surge. And as Ryan said, they did many tests during this repair that occurred this summer. And the tests were flawless transferred. So hopefully that keeps happening. That's the brief history on it.
any other questions from the audience? Any online, John?
Anybody online have a question? Now would be the time. First call. Going twice. Doesn't appear to be any questions online. Ready?
Thank you, John. Okay. Well, we have a motion moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor Duno, resolve the council. Approve, look for. Motion to move into closed session. All in favor? Carried. Okay.